will end up going on my channel. So why don't I just bring in Adria right now? So as you all know, I am doing an informal, just like Q&A and interview with the founder and CEO of Ecoslay. Definitely one of my favorite brands. I reviewed them a few months back. They did really, really great in my hair, and I was sad to move on to the next brand, but got to keep reviewing the products. So I was very happy that she agreed to come on and talk with everyone. So I'm going to bring her in right now. Hello, Keeping Up with Trina. Thank you for joining. I'm going to bring her in right now, and we'll get started. All right.
Hi, how are you, Amanda?
Hi. I'm hearing bells in the back. I don't know if that's me.
I think that's me.
Okay. Actually, I think okay. All right. Well, anyway, I still hear you just fine.
Okay. Good. And I'll kill that. I'm so sorry.
Okay. No worries.
My mom would call at the most inappropriate time.
My mom called during my last live, so.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. No worries at all. Thank you so much for doing this. So, yeah, so let's just, I guess, jump in. So I guess before we get started with the questions, and I guess this is a question in itself, why don't you tell us a little bit about Ecoslay, like how you started your own natural hair journey, or if you were always natural, and just how you got into the hair business?
For sure. And Amanda, I'll tell you up front, I can ramble and talk forever. So you feel free to tell me that, okay, this is enough. We can move on to the next question.
And do the same for me, because my live has gone way too long. So
no worries. So yeah, so first of all, I'm super happy to be here with you. I love your reviews of the products. So I was thrilled when you asked me to actually join you. I've been natural since college. That was a while ago, about 20 or so years ago. And it was when I went to college that I finally saw that I had curls under there, because my hair had been relaxed for so long. So of course I discovered I had some texture going on up under there and was curious about it. So played around with different products, and there really wasn't that many products. There weren't that many products out there for me, for my hair texture. Yeah. Your options were either products for relaxed hair or products for curly hair, but nothing for in the middle. Got it. So a lot of
what do you mean? Trial and error. When you said that you saw that you had curls, what do you mean by that? Like, how did that happen? You mean like you took a few extra weeks between relaxers, or what do you mean?
Exactly, because you're on a college budget, right? So you don't quite have the money.
It's very difficult to do this during.
Exactly.
I couldn't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're on your college budget, so it's time for your retouch or whatever. You don't quite have the funds to get that done. It's like, oh, what's this growing up under there, right? So you kind of notice that you have some waves going on, and the curiosity peaked at that point. Okay. So just over the years, playing around with it, going back and forth between the relaxers and letting it grow out a little bit over the years. That's kind of how my journey went. So let's fast forward a little bit on. I would say when I graduated college and got my first job, again, back and forth, more curious about my hair texture, seeing more products come out there that could possibly work. So just becoming a true product junkie, going to Ulta and Sephora and Sally's like every day, trying this, trying that. And then I finally found some products that worked for me, but they weren't all in the same line. And at that point, I was a single mom, so I really didn't have time to be buying products from Sally's, from Ulta, from online, and all of that. And then I really began paying attention to what's on the label, and I discovered that the products that really worked for me were the ones with more of the natural ingredients, more with aloe vera, the marshmallow root, flaxseed, and those sorts of things. So I was really curious at that point, because I do love to garden. So that was of interest to me. So course of years, playing around with those ingredients, trying to make things myself. One thing led to another. I actually tried to start a company a few times before this one took off, actually. So that's kind of a message in of itself about not giving up on what you're really passionate about. Yeah. So in 2016-ish, that's when the trend was really coming on about laying your edges. And most ladies were using a toothbrush at that time to lay their edges, which is not really great for the environment, not really great for your hair either. So that's when I formulated the very first product, which was the environmentally friendly bamboo edge brush.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, okay. So that's really interesting. So you started making, so I guess you didn't start making products. Well, you started making products for yourself, I guess. But I guess when did that change from you trying to find things that work for you to actually creating a company? Like what was your background when you first created college? Like what was your, what industry?
I'm a computer science major. I'm a computer science major, completely different. So it was purely just of interest. But one thing about being an engineer, you're always trying to solve problems. That's what you're doing when you are an engineer. So that natural curiosity kind of feeds into how I am built also.
Okay. Now that makes sense. Yeah.
So I will say that the first product I tried to make was a gel back in the day before I released the ash brush, and that didn't go very well. I really didn't know what I was doing. When I did create the ash brush, I created a few other products before deciding to tackle the orange marm again, because I knew I wanted a flaxseed based gel. And I had created the applesauce with the help of a chemist who is still with me today after all these years. And he taught me a lot about pH, a lot about which preservatives to use, a lot about which ingredients go together, which ones don't. And so armed with that information that I gained from us making the applesauce, I applied that into the orange marm again. And that's when we finally made that product.
It's funny you say that because that's something that does inspire me so much. You know, I have my website and I'm all about like ingredients, but right now I'm just kind of consolidating all of the ingredients and telling you what they're for. But then there is that extra step because people ask me a lot, like, would I be interested in formulating my own products? I don't think so, because I feel like there's so much more to it. You can know so much about the individual ingredients, but how they work together, the proportions and all, that's a completely different animal.
Exactly.
So yeah. Okay, so I did actually prepare some questions for this. So
sure.
Before I jump in, there was a question from one of my subscribers. So quick question before we get in. Can you freeze your products to preserve them longer? You can. Okay.
Absolutely.
So how does that, how long can they be frozen?
You know, I hate to give a hard, fast number because it really depends on a lot of various things. I would say a good rule of thumb is about 6 months.
You can freeze them for up to 6 months, and then you just like put them in the fridge or something.
Yeah, then you just defrost it in the fridge or defrost on your counter. I've seen it work well, for sure. Okay. That I have had some customers have frozen them longer, even up to a year, and it works fine. But I personally have frozen them for about 6 months, and I've been able to thaw them all out.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so yeah, I'm just going to jump into the questions. I did read them. I mean, I did write them down, so I will be reading.
Sure.
So, all right, so first question. So I assume when you first started your company in 2015, it sounds like you said it was 2016, but whichever one it was, it was not a rampant practice to provide a recycling program, which I know that you have, and it still isn't today. So I guess what drove you to begin that recycling program? And did that start when you first launched, or is that something that you created over time?
Yeah, so like I said, I launched with the ash brush, which is an environmentally friendly product. And so because it is a compostable product, we didn't have a recycling program at that time. But I believe that when we launched Orange Marm, which is when our popularity grew, we had the recycling program almost immediately afterwards.
Okay, great. And I assume that's been going really well. I know you just had one of your recycling flash sales a couple of weeks ago. So pretty much, so for anyone that doesn't know, whenever you finish your bottles, you can send an email to the company and they will send you a recycling label, and then you can send back your products. When you have 500 empties, you then do a flash sale. That's right?
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm not sure how we're going to change this up now that we're moving to our craft paper pouches. I'm not sure how we're going to change that up, since you don't need to send back your empties to be recycled. So we figure out what we're going to do, because we love having the flash sale for you guys. So we definitely want to keep that going.
Can you want to tell us a little bit about that new release, that little pouch that you just showed?
Yeah, we're super excited. So we're trying to nail down all the details, and it's been a labor of love, but we're so excited. We are doing away with all of our plastic bottles and moving to these craft paper pouches. They are lined with plastic on the inside, just a thin layer just to prevent leaking. And we're actually working to make them like compostable later down the line, but we feel this is a really good step. So you will purchase these as the refills and get this on camera good. And then in the case of the Orange Marm, I have them right here. You can purchase a mason jar.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Okay. Yeah, really, really nice. And these
wow.
are made of, yeah, Nicole, can you see it pretty well?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I can.
No,
So you buy that separately, or does it come?
You would buy it separately, or you don't have to buy it at all. And so if you have a jar at home that you like to use, feel free to just buy the pouch and use that. Or you can even use it and just dispense it straight out of the pouch itself. So it's up to you. But we do really like these. Are nice. They are not glass. We were going to make them glass at first, but then we had thoughts of people in the shower dropping them and any accidents.
Right, that could be dangerous. Yeah.
Yes, we really wanted glass at first, but exactly. Yeah, it took us a minute. We went through several iterations before we came up with this. But yeah, you can wash it in the dishwasher when you finish, pop in the dishwasher, then just keep refilling them.
So what does it mean?
And it is made of plastic. It is made of plastic.
Okay, but it's reusable.
But it's reusable.
That's the difference.
And then for your peppermint schnapps, your moonshine, we have these with the oil cans tops. Can you see that?
Wait, so yeah, that's like an olive oil dispenser.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
And then for the same thing for the ginger, one with a spray top.
I really thought this through. Okay.
It's been a labor of love. We're so happy about it. And then for the banana and the Jello, as well.
Okay. No, it's great that you came up with different, so like, even the application, it makes a difference. That's really great that you came up with a line of those jars.
Right. We want to think through the whole process. We want to look really nice and sexy on your counter or in your fridge as well. Yeah. We try to, I'm sure we didn't think of everything and there will be issues, but we feel like it's a really good step going forward.
People care about the environment, obviously. Yeah.
Exactly. The pouches have a stand, they have a built-in stand. So it's really easy to sit in the refrigerator. And it's going to cut down on your shipping costs as well. So we're really excited by the reduction in the emissions for our overseas customers, for our local customers as well. So it should make a big difference.
So speaking of that, so there was a question about I assume PSR. This was about the recycling program. She was asking, even if you live in Canada, can you still do this whole? Can you participate in the recycling program, or is it just for the US?
So you absolutely can. It's not so environmentally friendly to ship things back by air just to be recycled. And so if you do have a recycling place that's close to you, I recommend just using that instead. And then just tell us that you have recycled and we'll add your recycling item to our count.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, PSR, hopefully that answered the question. No, but that's really fantastic. So when do you think you're going to be, or are you already selling those?
No, these should launch out, and I'm saying summer because we're still trying to work out all the details, but we're super, super, super close.
No, that looks really fantastic. I haven't seen any other brands doing that. You definitely are a pioneer in this space so far. So congratulations on that. So here's another easy question for you. So
sure.
I only thought about this as I was making the questions. Why Ecoslay? What is that? What does that mean to you?
Well, because, especially in the black community, we want to slay our looks all day, right? But we want to do it in an environmentally friendly way. So that's where the eco part comes in.
Okay, so your whole focus when you first started was to be that environmentally friendly and just like generally. I mean, I would even say when it comes down to the ingredients and everything, you put a lot of thought and you put a lot of responsibility into your products, which is really great.
And it happened like in an organic way because it was a combination of really finding products that worked well for myself, to create products that worked well for myself. And when I looked at the label, I'm like, wow, I mean, all these ingredients are really, really good for you. So we just continue down the path and good for the environment as well. Mm-hmm.
So I know you mentioned on your website that at least when you first started, you mix all of your products at home. You're 4 or 5 years into your products now. Are you still manufacturing at home, or are you going to be branching out?
Thankfully, no. So I'm so glad that we do have our own location because we have a staff of 7 now. So it was crazy when we were in my house making products. We had boxes and things everywhere, driving my husband crazy. The house was a mess. So we're so glad that now we do have our own location, but everything is still made at home. We have a kitchen in our little shop. We do work out of a house that's in a commercial zoned area. And we do still like prepare everything in the kitchen. We strain our marshmallow root by hand. We strain the flaxseed by hand. We strain the slippery elm by hand. We boil the okra by hand. So everything is still homemade.
So you have a facility, but you're not working with like a I guess a big box manufacturer at this point. You're still being done.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Were you impacted? I guess given considering the whole quarantine groups and all that, were you impacted by the pandemic when it came to like creating your products and all that and shipping things out?
We could have a whole topic just on a whole conversation just on that topic.
Okay.
We were impacted so much by COVID, but in so many ways, just like emotionally. I mean, I have a 6-year-old, so I was teaching her while trying to run a business as well. So just the mental weight of that also, and all the uncertainty that was going on around that time was just crazy. And not just for me, but for my staff as well. But then, yes, also the direct impact to the business, our bottles weren't as available because a lot of them were being used for sanitizer. The same thing with some of our ingredients, because to thicken our gel, not our orange marm, but to thicken our gel shot, that's the same ingredient that they use to thicken the sanitizer. So that wasn't as readily available. Got it. And the price went up as well. So there were a lot of those things as well. Pumps, believe it or not, because of sanitizer, again, were not as available.
Yeah, I heard the
also packaging was a big impact. For everyone. Also, the the twist caps that are on our peppermint schnapps and our moonshine and our hot sauce.
I don't know why,
we had to move to the pop disc tops for a while also because those weren't available. So we had to roll with the punches for sure, but our customers were so understanding, and I remember the post or the comment where somebody said, "I don't care how you get it to me, just get it to me."
Just get you the product. No, I think a lot of brands were. I mean, I would say probably every brand was experiencing the same issue. So it's not like it was just you. So I guess it makes sense that everyone would have been very understanding. Okay, I feel like I already know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway because we have already discussed this. But okay, so as I mentioned, so given my new business venture, I clearly care about ingredients. I was very impressed about the aspect of your company. When you go to your website, you don't just say, this product contains this, and this, including like, chemical names that people won't necessarily know. You click to it and it tells you what it does. Yeah. Is that something that you started doing because you felt like you had your own responsibility, or was it in response to like customer feedback, or what was your motivation for providing such transparency on your website?
That was for me. I mean, because I really try to treat each consumer as myself, and that is it does line up with one of our values as well. So one of our values is around the education of the ingredients that we use and the ingredients that we don't use also. So, but yeah, like I said, I started out as a single mom trying to read ingredients and flip over and do research on them. I wanted to make it as easy for our customers as possible to see what was in our products. Okay,
that's great. And I love that you did that. That was definitely what drew me to your company. Okay, so outside of the transparency, your environmental friendliness, is there anything else that you feel sets your products apart from, I guess, the competition? Like why Ecoslay?
Mm-hmm. I think there are a few things. One thing that we get complimented on a lot that I wasn't expecting. So one of our values is around being kind to each other. And I think that's really important, especially in this day and age. But we get lots of compliments on how we answer each email, how we answer each DM, how we respond to our comments. And I didn't know that it was such, well, I guess when I started getting the feedback, I thought about like, hey, I did send that company an email a couple of weeks ago, and haven't heard back. But there are not a lot of companies that take that attention or that take that mindset of I'm going to respond to every single email, even if it's one that's really upset at us about their order being late. We're going to respond, and not just respond, but respond in a kind manner. And I think that definitely sets us apart from the pack.
Yeah, no, I actually feel the same way. I've actually stopped. I mean, like, obviously I'm coming from like the social media space, but I've stopped following so many people just like on YouTube, because when you put time into reaching out to someone to ask them a question, or whether it's to compliment them or whatever it is, it's very, I guess, rude, for lack of another word.
It's off-putting for sure.
It's not, that's a better word, to just not respond. So I always make a very, targeted point to respond to everyone, and also like, actually respond properly, not just like a blanket. So that makes
we we
No
really
blanket
try to do that.
Yeah.
No blanket responses. And when we do miss an email, like I've gone back, I'm just anal this way a little bit too. Like I'll see that I missed an email from a couple months ago and I'll respond then like, I am so sorry that I missed your email, you know, because I really want people to know that I genuinely care about them and about their hair. And one, on that note, to answer your question further, something that sets us apart as well is that I respond to emails where people are asking for product recommendations that aren't my own, you know, so I'll send somebody to another, you know, to another company. I do it often. Like, okay, I don't think that this shampoo is going to work well for you. I would recommend this instead. Or our matcha boost isn't quite what you need. You need something that has a little bit more punch in it right now. So why don't you go towards this instead? So
No,
I really try to take that. Yeah, I try to take that mindset of doing what's best for the customer, even if they're not a customer at that time.
No, I definitely respect them. And there's got to be a lot of competition in this industry, but at the same time, like if you look, it's like a $10 billion industry. There's enough to go around. So
there
if
is
you
enough to
send
go
someone
around.
somewhere else, that person is also going to have such a high opinion of you that if you have something that works for them or works for a friend, they're definitely going to refer them to you. So I love that. I love you take that approach. Hey, Lavinia from Fine Natural Hair Rocks. You were just asking about the shipping to Canada as well, and I think you mentioned this. So you do ship to Canada.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Internationally.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But we do have a couple of retailers that are there. So you may want to check them out first before you order from us directly, because you'll probably save on shipping.
Okay. All right. So this is actually related to what you were just talking about. This is a relatively long question, but again, I'm just going to read it here. So I know your products work really well in my hair. I loved how softening the peppermint schnapps was. And your deep conditioner, the banana cream. I know someone just reached out to me earlier today that it works so well. And it gave me that one shower wash day where you can put in a deep conditioner, and then I didn't rinse it out. I just used it to carry over as a leave-in, and I applied the Jello shot. And doing that, I was able to retain moisture for 7 days. And for me, I know I'm able to do that more now, but my hair is very, very prone to dryness. So this is only from like establishing like a good routine and just like using really great products that I've been able to do this. But if I use something that doesn't work, my hair is going to be like the desert on day like 2.
Yeah.
So the fact that I used a deep conditioner, did not apply leave-in, and I applied the Jello shot, and I was able to retain moisture, that was fantastic. So thank you for that. But speaking of though, so when people with like fine strands, high porosity, low density hair, which is complete opposite to my own, reach out to me for product recommendations, it's a little bit harder for me to point them because in certain directions, because I know it works for me. I don't really necessarily know it works for other people. So would you say that your products, I guess, cater to like a wide range of like natural hair, I guess, porosity, the textures and all of that? Like, do you like what hair textures and the type do you cater to, I guess, in your product line?
I think that our products cater to most hair textures. I would say the only product that I would stay away from if you're a wavy, I would say stay away from, but you should watch out for. If you are a wavy or your hair is especially oily, the peppermint schnapps may not work for you because it does have the African black soap, which contains on its own a lot of oils and butters. And then we add an additional oils to the formula. And as my chemist says, the shampoo doesn't know where the oil is coming from, so it's going to break down the oils in the formula first before it gets to breaking down the oils in your hair. And so if your hair is especially oily, then it may not work as well for you. So that would be the only hair type and the only product that I would say watch out for. We are working on another cleanser later this year that will more cater towards that hair type, or those who want more of a lather, more of a deep clean, not quite a clarifier, but just a deeper clean than the peppermint schnapps can offer. But other than that, I think that the remainder of our products work well for any textured hair type.
Okay, so you're saying that the peppermint, go on.
Well, I was going to say also, I believe that a lot of times where people may have issues with products, and not just our own, is that they don't quite have a great understanding of their hair type and the proper techniques for their hair type. So it's not so much the products often times as it is the technique itself. Like for instance, if someone has finer hair, more coarse hair, they may not want to leave the banana cream in as a leave-in. Maybe they want to use that as a deep conditioner, rinse it out, then use the rice pudding as a leave-in instead. Maybe they want to use less rice pudding and more of the styler instead. Maybe if they're low porosity, of course, they need to clarify more often. I see that a lot of times where people aren't quite sure of their porosity. Then when they find out that they're low porosity, then they've been doing these co-washes for years, that all the buildup that's on your hair because you're low porosity and not getting a clean set of cuticles is a really big deal. So that's what I often find is the case.
So when you were talking about the peppermint schnapps, though, it sounds like you were saying that it was too moisturizing for like more of an oily texture. But outside of it being very moisturized, you're saying it's still very cleansing, but you're coming out with something that's a little bit more clarifying later this year?
Yeah, a little. I wouldn't quite call it clarifying, but something that is more suitable for those oilier hair textures. Okay. Or if you feel like maybe it's time to clarify, but not quite time, and you just need something that's has a little bit more punch than the peppermint schnapps, then that may be a good option for you. Okay,
sounds good. But no, I definitely agree. So I mean, when I do give people advice about things that I've used, I mean, like my hair prefers thicker textures. When it outside of that, it really will come down to just like my routine. And I have spent that. I mean, I've only been natural for 15 months at this point, but I have spent a good amount of time coming up with a routine. And I feel like I have been very lucky that most of the products that I try work really well for me. And I think it's more my routine and the way that I use the products versus the products themselves. So I feel like if you have if you have fine hair, for example, maybe it's just, you might still love a product that I love that's really heavy, but you just use less of it, and maybe you mix it with a little bit of water. Would you agree with that? It's really just about like how you use the products.
It really is. And so what I'll do, a lot of times I'll talk to my customers, they'll say, I have all these products that are not working for me. And then we'll get down like, oh, I didn't know I had fine hair, so I probably need more protein than coarse hair would. I find like a lot of times, just to segue a little bit, a lot of times when people think that they're protein sensitive, really the issue is that you have coarse hair, so your hair doesn't quite need as much protein as fine hair would. So things like that, right? And the porosity is a big deal as well. So a lot of times once we have those initial conversations, they're like, oh, I didn't know, then I'll send them back to their stash. Like you can tell me what's in your stash, and I'll work through the ingredients that are in those products with them. Like those, just throw those out. But like the rest of those, you can work with those. So you work through those, and then when you're finished, then you come back to me, because it really wasn't the products. It was a lack of understanding of your hair type and the technique that needs to go along with that.
Yeah, I feel like the conversation about protein actually comes up quite a lot. I just had a live with Lavinia. She's on here right now, Find Natural Hair Rocks, and we were talking about our different like routines when it comes to protein. She has very fine strands, and she needs protein pretty much like, I don't know if it's like weekly or bi-weekly.
I use weekly,
just when I use it. I mean, like I had actually been potentially experiencing a little bit of high growth fatigue a couple of months ago, and I realized like I hadn't really done, like I don't have a protein routine anymore. I use a lot of strengthening ingredients, but like I don't, my hair does not require a lot of protein. But as soon as I felt that it was feeling a little bit more elastic than usual, maybe like borderline getting mushy, I used a protein treatment, and that was fine. So it's really also just a matter of feeling your hair and knowing your hair, and just making your schedule based around that. So
absolutely. One of the game changers that I experienced after I wrote a blog about your hair type, that I realized that, wow, I have fine hair. I'm only doing a protein treatment once a month, and now I do one every wash day, and it's been a game changer for me.
Yeah, it's great doing this research, because it does put you in the forefront of it, because as you're writing things for other people, like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, or maybe I should try doing this. It also helps you with your own hair journey. So it's because I recently did something on hair typing on my own website, and I was a little bit like, I was reading the guidance that you'll find out there on books and on websites, but I don't actually have that kind of hair texture. So it actually made me question. It raised a lot of questions for me about people with different hair types to learn how things happen in reality, because it also, I feel like the way that things are written in textbooks doesn't necessarily apply, because for instance, like with low porosity, I know the guidance is that low porosity hair, it's harder for you to take in moisture, but at the same time, once that moisture is in your hair, it's hard for it to leave. I've never really found that. I feel like if I don't moisturize my hair properly, and I don't have a good routine, my hair, because I used to moisturize my hair every single night. I haven't done that in a very long time because I no longer need to. But I would do the LCO or the LOC method every single night. And by the morning, my hair was bone dry. So
wow.
yeah, and I have low porosity hair. So I mean, like I was taking in the moisture, my hair was incredibly moisturized by the time I was done with it, of course. But the next morning I'd wake up and it was like I did absolutely nothing. So I feel like so many things just come down to you need a routine, you need to be doing the right by your hair for a good amount of time, because I feel like my hair kind of transformed probably 6-7 months into my natural hair journey, and now it just kind of responds the way I want it to. But I feel like it's not just going to happen immediately. So someone big chops a week ago and they want to know what to do, you're not necessarily going to see results right away. You really have to just like take care of your hair for a good amount of time to see changes.
To get to know it for sure.
Yeah. So I guess the next question. So on your product specifically, I know a lot of people, there's a little bit of controversy about whether you're supposed to style on wet hair or dry hair. Sometimes it's very prescribed by a brand and sometimes it's not. So I guess what is, for your product specifically, do you feel like they work better on wet or dry hair? Like, should you apply the deep conditioner to soaking wet hair, to damp hair? What about the styling products? Like, what is your take on that?
I find that our banana cream works best on wet hair. Definitely the orange marm. The orange marm is a little different. So the reason, in my opinion, that the orange marm, and I do have lots of ladies that use orange marm on damp hair instead of wet hair, not many on dry hair.
Just to let everyone know, the orange marmalade, that's a leave-in, right?
That is a gel. That is the flaxseed gel.
The whole time I thought they were talking about the. Sorry, I was mixing up the names. Okay, sorry. Go on. So
no worries.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, so it really distributes better on wet hair, because if you don't get it really into each section really well, you're going to get flakes, right? So I find that that's why it works best, because to really get an even application. Damp, but some folks say it works fine on damp hair. I think they're probably using a little bit less when they're using it on damp hair, which is fine too. So the key is just to distribute it well, so you don't have any other residue or anything like that afterwards. But the banana cream, I like that best on wet hair. I do have some customers. My daughter uses it on damp hair also, so it seems to work best on either one. Our gel shot, which is amazing, works well on wet or dry hair.
Okay. Yeah, I love the Jello shot. I mean, I've only used probably 2 or 3 gels like since I went natural, but everything else, I mean, the other 2 that I use are kind of like flake dummy, and they don't provide moisture. And I thought it was very interesting that the Jello shot provided moisture. I don't think that's very common for a gel. I'm actually going to be trying my first I'm actually going to be trying my first wash and go probably in a couple of months. I've never done one before. And
wow, yeah, you have to use the Jello shot. Yeah.
I think I still have quite a bit left. I think I'm definitely going to be trying that. So sorry, you said that you should apply the Jello shot on soaking wet hair, or did you say damp? I missed that.
Wet or dry hair. I believe that on wash day for me on wash day, I apply it on wet hair. I actually use the orange marm. I actually use, because back it all up, I actually use the rice pudding, then the orange marm, and then the Jello shot. It's an amazing trio. But I do it all on wet hair. I do. And I didn't at first. It was a post from some of my followers. They were using all 3 together, and then some of my staff members started doing it, and they were like, "Mama Slay," which is what they called me. Mama Slay, this is amazing. And so eventually, and so because of COVID, I've been keeping my hair in twists or like protective styles for so long. So when I finally did, let her out to play, and I decided to do a wash and go, I used all 3, and it was amazing. It's like the gel shot adds an additional hold, a little bit more shine, and like the orange marm is kind of a primer almost for it. It's kind of interesting because it has hold on its own, but that gel shot just takes it up a notch.
So have you tried, or do you know people have had experience that did a wash and go with just the orange marmalade? I guess if you're in
for sure,
them both at the same time, you would say that they're both standalone products, but just
they're standalone products for sure.
They work really well together.
Yeah, and so at first, and it's so funny how you can create a product and you think it's going to be used one way, then it turns out to be used in all these different ways, which is great. So I was thinking that what people would do, they were already using the orange marm on wet hair, that like maybe day 3 or 4, they get a little bit of frizz, they could put the Jello shot on dry hair. That's how I thought that you would use them both together. I never thought that you'd be using them both together on wet hair, but it really, because the gel shot, because the orange marm adds a lot of definition, And the gel shot adds weight and shine and a little bit extra hold.
So the elongation also, I would
The
think?
elongation, right. And so
Okay.
you'll get that initial shot of definition with the orange marm. And then the gel shot just really holds it in place, as well as the weight, gives you a little more clumps and adds the shine. And lots of bounce as well. It's really amazing.
All right. Well, I think that might be my first my first.
I think you should do it.
Yeah, no, I'm very nervous about it because my hair is so many different textures. It's so many different curl patterns, and also like I experience like a ton of shrinkage. So I don't even know. I'm very nervous about it, but that's what silk scrunchies and scarves are for. If it doesn't work out,
you'll be just fine.
I'll just put it up. So that was actually the last of the questions that I had written down. I guess if anyone has any other questions in the chat, let us know. But I guess just potentially the final question here for Ecoslay. So I know that you have you have one shampoo, you have the deep conditioner, you have a leave-in, a pudding, and a couple of gels. What is your future of Ecoslay look like? I mean, I feel like the products that you have are fantastic. Everyone loves them, and you have a very big following. You're growing very, your company is definitely growing. What does the future of Ecoslay look like for you?
That's such a broad question, Amanda. You mean like as far as a product line is concerned?
Yeah. No, I know that you said that you're coming up with another with a cleanser. With a cleanser. Yeah, another cleanser later this year. But in terms of like the product collection, do you want to in a couple of years have like 40 products, or do you think that you're going to prefer to specialize and have just a small, niche set of products?
Yeah. So I really because again, going back to my roots, when I was a single mom and didn't have, and I think whether you're a single mom or not, we don't have a lot of time on our hands, right? So we need something to work for your different hair types that are on your head and just keep it pushing. So I don't want to have lots of different conditioners, lots of different cleansers, lots of different stylers. I really want to have just like a small set that really works. So we do want to release a cleanser for those that want a different option than the peppermint schnapps. Also a clarifier for sure. I want a clarifier that really, and I have some really great ideas for the clarifier. I want a twist cream because I've been wearing my hair in protective styles. So I really want to have that option.
I would love a twisting cream from you.
Yes, I want a twisting cream. And then I want a refresher spray, and I want a heat protectant also. So I think that's about 5 products. So I think that's going to round us out pretty good.
That makes sense. So you want to have it's pretty much would be like a one-stop shop. But yeah, I do agree that it's great. You don't want to have, I mean, different strokes for different folks. You don't necessarily want to have 6 or 7 deep conditioners, because then it's very overwhelming when you go to
overwhelming.
70 products. No, I agree.
Exactly. I want to make it really easy for people to go natural and people to embrace their hair. I know I go to Sally's, and I'm not knocking these other brands at all, because it's working for them and that's fantastic. And I like a lot of their products also. But when I see all these different lines of products, I'm thinking that if someone's just made that decision, to go natural, and they're kind of on the fence already, then I go to a store and I see all these products. It can be so overwhelming. I can get into my analysis paralysis and just leave, and more than I want somebody to buy my products, I want them to embrace themselves, to embrace their hair, and to continue on that journey. I don't want to be a barrier for them to continue on that journey. So just making things as simple as possible. Really use really, really good ingredients, be really great to the environment, and give them the best experience possible is what we really want to do.
No, I agree. And I also feel not to knock any other brands. There are a lot of brands out there that I absolutely love that have a lot of products, but it is great when you specialize, because I feel like you're not losing the customer. You're kind of just catering to everyone with what you're providing. And as I mentioned earlier, just different people need to use your product in different ways. And also when it comes down to this, the ingredients that you use, so many of these ingredients are just great for hair. They're great for your body and they're great for health. Yeah. So just everyone can use them. So we do have a couple of questions that have come in. So I guess Pineapple Hair Rock, she's just confirming. So she would agree. She's just asking if you would recommend 4 fine strands. Do you think you really should protein treatment every single week? Is that what you do? I don't want to just put that out there, but that's what I do. And of course, it
it is based on how strong your hair is already. But I will say, definitely, I would say if your hair is finer, you need more protein than if your hair is coarse, for sure. So what I did was I started to protein treat every single week just to see how far I could go. I would do it maybe for 30 minutes. Then once I reached that point where I saw I was getting a little bit of brittleness, whatever, I backed down. So now I do it for about five minutes in the shower before following up with the banana.
Okay. The timing makes a difference. I didn't even think about that. So it's also a matter of how long you leave it in your hair, not even
exactly
when you do it.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say, I think the most important thing to do when you're going to experiment is keep that variable to one thing. And so I kept my whole routine this exact same, other than the duration of the protein treatment. And so I was able to see, okay, I'm at too much protein. I'm sure it is the protein. So then you're able to back off and wind it back to figure out the exact amount that you need. And so for me, I do five minutes in the shower with the matcha on, follow up with 30 with a banana. And that works perfect for me.
So you have a protein treatment?
Yeah. Mm-hmm, the matcha boost.
Okay. I didn't know that. The matcha boost. Okay.
Yeah.
I never look for protein treatment. So
okay. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So PSR, you're recommending I try that wash and go. I will do it, and I'm going to try out this combination that you recommended. So I'm looking forward.
I think you're going to love it.
All right. So we have another question. I live in Arizona, and I have to deal with extremely dry weather and extremely hard water. What do you suggest?
Yep.
And she's saying she has thin strands and a lot of hair. Okay.
Does she know what her porosity is?
Okay, yeah. Well, now, Lene, let us know your porosity. You also said my hair is also thick and straightens up to 90% of my actual length. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of shrinkage. Yeah, let us know your porosity. Okay, so Ariel is asking about whether the banana cream deep conditioner can be frozen to extend shelf life. So we talked about
yes.
You said that 6 months is what you would recommend, but people
that's what I would recommend.
Up to a year, but that's not your recommendation. That's just you just know that it happens.
That's not what I've done personally. I really don't like to recommend what I've done personally, and so I've done it for up to 6 months.
Okay, all right, up to 6 months in the freezer then. Okay, fine. So about the protein treatment, makes sense. It's important to have that consistent state so we know what works. She'll be looking out for your protein treatment. Okay, great. And Lene, you're not sure about your porosity. So I guess, Adria, why don't you just let us know if she is low porosity or she's high porosity? What would you recommend? Yeah. And so I guess the question was about hard water, right? Right.
So because I would suspect that you're low porosity, especially if you don't know what it is. That's my guess. And you're struggling with the hard water buildup is probably the issue. But for you to really know what your porosity is, I like the float test. Some people say it doesn't work well for them. It works great for me. So what I would say is take a strand of hair, clean it, with a really good cleanser. And then put it in a cup of water, wait 5 minutes, see if it floats or if it sinks. If it sinks, you're low porosity because it's absorbing. Is that right? No. If it floats, other way around. There you go. If it floats, you're low porosity. If it sinks, and so if it floats, you're low porosity. I'm thinking that's what you are. So you want to make sure that you are clarifying. Plus, even if you're high porosity and you're in an area with hard water, you probably want to be clarifying more than you would under a normal circumstance. To clarify, what I use personally is a half water, half apple cider vinegar mix. I use this every month. So I would say that if you are low porosity in that hard water environment, you probably want to do that twice a month. Just make sure that your cuticles are always clean. And then make sure that you're doing a deep conditioner treatment like my banana cream, which I will recommend lots of products for other product types, but I always recommend the banana cream for a deep conditioner because I really believe that in my soul that it is the best for you. So I will use banana cream. Make sure you're covering up with a plastic cap and sitting out in that Arizona heat for about 30 minutes or so. So really let it get in there. And I believe that will really help. You should see a difference probably in about 2 to 3 weeks.
And also outside of them, I mean, this is a little bit more of an annoyance, so it's up to you completely. But you can also get like a water filter. They have those that attach to your shower.
They do.
That'll help with the water. Also, I've done this a couple of times, but it was more just annoying, so I stopped. But you can do like a final rinse with distilled water. that's supposed to help rinse out like the calcium deposits and everything that you're going to get from that water. So it's something to look into. You get like one of those like jugs of distilled water and just use those. Let's see, Ariel saying thank you. She loves your products.
Thank you, Ariel.
All right. So you're confirming 6 months in the freezer, 9 months in the fridge. I guess we didn't talk about the fridge. How long can your products be kept in the fridge? I would think
it actually varies according to the products, but we do have a page on the site that shows you the storage tips for each product.
Okay, great. Also, for the new growth oil, can you explain the ingredients, benefits, and time frame that's best to see results?
Okay, so it has lots of ingredients. I would go to the website so I don't miss any of them, but it has, and what I love about cayenne lemon squeeze, number one, it works. I'm just gonna put that out there. And I haven't experienced any other growth oil that actually work personally. And it's because each one of those ingredients has been proven to increase growth. Even the carrier oil, which is super rare. And so in a lot of growth oils, the essential oils may be really good for growth, supposedly, but the carrier oil is like a jojoba, which is fine, or a grapeseed, or like a safflower or sunflower. But in our case, the base oil is the pumpkin seed oil, which has been proven to increase growth, and the Jamaican black castor oil. Yeah, and so like every single ingredient, from the fenugreek, from pumpkin, Jamaican black castor oil, from the cedarwood, from the lavender, rosemary, the peppermint, thyme, and I know I'm missing a couple of other ones in there. But we actually, and I referenced this with one of my retailers. I need to put it on the site, but there are 5 different studies that went into us creating this formula. So it wasn't just something we came up with. We actually did a lot of research to find the studies that would back up our claims of growth. So there's that. To answer your question about how often to use it, as often as you can stand it, without your hair getting too oily or greasy. So again, if you have really wavy hair, which already gets weighed down pretty easily, or oily hair, then maybe you just want to use it as a hot oil treatment, a Prepoo treatment, or maybe when you're putting your hair up in a bun where you're not really caring so much about it being more greasy. For me, because my hair tends to love oils all the time, I use it all the above. I use it for a hot oil treatment or Prepoo. I mix it in with my banana cream, and I get under the steamer, and it's amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I use it every morning and every night also. And my hair has really flourished. Yeah, I just take little droppers, especially when I'm in like a protective style. It's super easy to get to the scalp. Yes, it's fantastic. So the more the better.
Yeah. So she was asking time frame to see results, like after how long did you start to see a difference?
Yeah, so there was actually a recent post on my IG where one of our customers saw results in as little as a month. I was really glad to see that, because for me, I started to see results within a couple of weeks, but I didn't want to put that out there, to heighten the expectations, but I started seeing results. Exactly. I started seeing results in 2 weeks. My staff, this is one of the products that when I started, as we started to formulate this one about 6 months before we released it. And every time my staff heard that I was making another batch of it, it was like a line out my door, because they loved it that much. This was one of those products, but they started seeing results within a couple of weeks also. So I would say I experienced it in 2 weeks. My staff experienced it in 2 weeks, but the customers are starting to experience it within a month.
So just on that, does your staff, I guess your daughter, they tend to be your product testers? Just like
I could not keep them. I cannot keep. They are the biggest Ecoslay junkies ever. Yes. Okay. So when they hear that I'm making something, they are lined up to test it.
You don't even need to find a focus group.
I do not, because we all have different textures, at our shop too. So it works out well. That's and my daughter, my middle daughter too, her hair texture covers the ones that we don't get. She's the reason why we added the moisturizer into the rice pudding. We were intending on having that be like a stronger on the protein side, and she was like, she laid down the hammer. She said, "Mom, I need a balm leave-in, and my hair gets dry all the time, so we need to increase the moisturizers." So the rice pudding has 3 different moisturizers in addition to the fermented rice water, so it has a really great protein moisture balance there. But yeah, so like between my family members and my staff, we run the gamut on several different hair types for sure.
Okay. So Lene is coming back. So if she has high porosity, I guess what you were talking about with the hard water and all of that, would you have the same advice, or would you recommend anything?
I would say monthly, probably monthly, because your hair shouldn't get
for the clarifying.
Yeah, because my middle daughter has high porosity hair, and our water situation is pretty okay, and she clarifies about every 2 months. So I would say if you have high porosity hair, and hard water, I would try to do it monthly, and then you just experiment because you're gonna find the exact time frame that works best for you. But I would say start with every month. Then you may find that goes down to every 3 weeks, maybe it's 5 weeks, but I would say start with every month, and I bet you'll see a difference. Make sure that you're deep conditioning. If you have high porosity hair, you probably don't need to use heat. I love use heat anyways. It's just an added bonus, gives you like a spa-like experience, but definitely keep the banana on for about 30 minutes.
So Ariel's saying, I had postpartum hair loss, so this is awesome to hear. Gotta try it. So this is about the
gotta try it.
Oil. So great.
Yes, for sure. Because the customer, let me interrupt you, Amanda, because yes, the customer that posted about the growth that she saw, she was postpartum. She was she was experiencing hair loss. So it was so great to me to see that for sure.
So Ariel's also asking, any new products coming out, maybe another amazing deep conditioner. So we were just talking about that. You have a shampoo coming out. I guess you just speak to that. So I guess you have a shampoo coming out at the end of the year, and it's more of a, you said it's not clarifying, but like a stronger shampoo.
Mm-hmm. Stronger shampoo, and we have a clarifier coming out also, hopefully within the next few months or so, and then a twist cream, and down the line a refresher spray and a heat protectant also. Okay,
so you might have mentioned this before, but you're not looking to create another deep conditioner. Your banana cream seems to serve all hair textures and all of that right now.
I think so. Yeah,
well, not all hair textures, but I mean like curly, kinky, coily. Okay.
Well, even straight as well. I have a lot of straight ladies that use it also, and relax. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Melissa, thanks for joining. Okay, so I guess that brought me to the end of my questions. We had another little influx of information here, which was really great. I guess. Any final questions, just let us know here. Otherwise, I guess, Adria, thank you so much for joining. I'm looking forward to trying this 2 gel and pudding twist, wash and go in a couple of months. I'll definitely be trying that. Your products were amazing in my hair, so thank you for creating them. Thank you for all the transparency you give for the ingredients. Thank you for joining this live. This was just a really great conversation, and I look forward to talking with you again. Any final plugs or anything that you'd like to offer, or we could just end it here?
I think we're all good. Thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
All right, thank you everyone for joining. I'll talk to you in the comments. All right.
Bye-bye.